So just to speak, to circle back to that, what I like is the physical aggression and the rawness of it. And so when I watch boxing, um, that really speaks to me. And when it gets particularly, I don't know, like when somebody gets knocked out, I don't have a bloodthirst. Like I'm not like, yeah, like every time somebody gets knocked out, I
You tear up.
yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's what's interesting because I'm not the same way. Now there's been knockouts where that I've seen, like when Manny Pacquiao knocked out Ricky Hatton. I was like, oh, is he alive? But for the most part, a standard knockout. I'm excited about it. But
Yeah.
Rachel comes to it from a different experience, and that's immediately like, you know, um,
Yeah, just like I feel like maybe in other sports, maybe because of the team aspect, or if you have like helmets on, the more players you have on a team, the farther out the camera is. But in boxing, you just have two people and the camera is right there. And I feel like it's something really personal. And I admire somebody who comes into something and takes the risk of being beat and being knocked out, and you're really is just you. Like, sure, you have like your corner and people that helped you get there, but when you're in the ring, you're there by yourself. And when you lose or you get knocked out, I admire people who put themselves out there like that, because I struggle with that. I struggle with the idea of failure, and I tend to do things that I only know I will succeed at. And that's like no way to live life, really, because you don't make progress, there's not growth. And so what I see in boxing is I see people that do that like for their whole, career. Like they take that risk, and there's always that risk because there's always a puncher's chance. And to get knocked out like that and come back from it. And we've seen like lots of boxers like come back in a admirable way.
yeah.
And so I think that's like what really speaks to me.
Yeah, talking about daring greatly, these guys dare great. They truly dare greatly, and some of them more than others.
Yeah.
Particularly for myself, and just to add a little bit to what you were saying, in the same way, I'm attracted to those people. The most like joyous moments in my life that came from boxing, I can think of two right off the top of my head, was when Evander Holyfield dared greatly to face Mike Tyson, who said, everybody said that Tyson was going to kill Holyfield, and Holyfield won that fight. Another time was Andy Lee, who had lost to Julio Cesar Chavez, right? Got knocked out. And he was fighting those two successive fights that ultimately won him a WBO title belt at middleweight. And in both of those fights, Andy Lee was getting his ass kicked. But Andy Lee never stopped daring greatly. And I literally jumped up in the air, just in joy, leapt with joy. My heart leapt with joy to see a guy who was there. He was still there, and those hooks that he threw to win those fights. That was just a beautiful experience that if I had not loved boxing or Andy Lee or Evander Holyfield, I would never have experienced that just overwhelming joy of one of, I think, life's great truths is that it's best to dare greatly. That's what we're made for, to be authentic, to try, and to be willing to fail. However many people are there in front of you, whether it's just by yourself or whether millions are watching across the world, you dared to be great, you dared to be your best, and you were okay failing because you can't be great without failing, really, right?
Yeah.
That's just
one. Isn't that like why some of us, and I'm in this group, where I am like hesitant, like I hold back from somebody like Floyd Mayweather, or I critique him, whatever you want to say, is because we sense that even though he did take risk, that he didn't take as many risks that he could have. And I don't admire that. I admire like the people who take risk, and so there's something there where we're like, well, he seemed to kind of protect himself, and we're quick to recognize that in boxing.
In others.
Yeah, yeah.
We're
like,
quick in general in life.
just like out there in boxing, like we can all like we could pick up like a whole bunch of fighters probably. That was the thing about like Adonis Stevenson, right? Like people, we had this narrative of like he doesn't fight like the top guys, and then we're quick in boxing, and I'm quick to be like, oh, like to assume that, and because there's something that I really don't like about that.
Well, it's like it's also I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like one of my favorite fighters ever probably is Andre Ward, but here I am now thinking I wanted to see how great Andre Ward is or could be, and Andre Ward fought a great competition. He has a great resume. He's done a lot of great things, but why is he retired? Like. And it's his life. He gets to choose what he does. But to me, as a fan of Andre Ward, I wanted to see Andre Ward try to fight at heavyweight, like he said. Like I wanted to see him try to do what people said he couldn't do. And that's what Floyd Mayweather, like you said, I don't believe he really did. He didn't try to do what people said he couldn't. Manny Pacquiao did that. People said Manny Pacquiao couldn't fight at welterweight, and Manny Pacquiao did. But Mayweather, I think he missed an opportunity in his life to maybe try that, and maybe he'll never regret that. Maybe Floyd's happy with his career, and he had a fantastic career, and he's one of the all-time greats. And it's fine, but I think that wanting to see someone become the very best them, to dare greatly, as I guess we're talking about, is just it's a good thing. Like that's what we want. We want to see. How much?
Well, and with I just want to say with Andre Ward, it's I see that being like a little bit different in that as a fan you want to see like more, but I also see that that he did fight top competition until he retired.
No, it's a little
and maybe
like
you look at like you're like, oh well, he retired and he could have done more, but then in that way he's taking like he's doing something that's maybe the better good for himself and his family, and not
and that's admirable too.
Throwing all of yourself into a sport because you don't have to do that. So like that reminds me of Barry Sanders, right?
Right.
Who retired like really early, and like as fans we're like, what? Like it's done?
He was in his prime. He walked away.
Yeah. So there's something like admirable about that, which is a little bit different than like kind of orchestrating your career so that you're kind of protected.
And I think the criticism on Mayweather is fair, but tends to be overblown because if you look at his resume, he fought a slew of Hall of Famers and did push himself. He started at 130 pounds. And he went all the way up to fight at least once or twice at 150 or 154. I don't remember if they were. I think he fought Miguel Cotto at 154, that's awesome. That's what he should have done. But in the same way...
So then it brings into question, for like the purpose of history and fans, can you ever, like, it's almost like the idea of failure actually solidifies your greatness. So
exactly.
If Mayweather would have continued, maybe he's just so great, like he never like loses or something. Let's say that, right? We just never happen to see him lose. But like to solidify his greatness, he maybe, if he would have pushed himself to fight like everybody that he possibly could have in their prime, like
or just keep moving up in weight until you find somebody that's too big.
Until you lose, then that loss would have solidified everything. But because we don't know, we're like, well, you know. So that's an interesting.
Yeah, well, and I've seen that in the past when I was a kid with Evander Holyfield. Holyfield was probably the best cruiserweight ever. Moves up to heavyweight, knocks out the guy that knocked out Mike Tyson, is heavyweight champion, and doesn't get really the respect and credit that he gets today until he lost to Riddick Bowe, until he fought people that were great as well and lost to them and came back and won again. Yeah. Like that kind of greatness, at least like there's a portion of society, and I think that we're part of that portion of society that really just respects and admires that. It's the same way with Manny Pacquiao. Even I'm in awe of him today after getting knocked out like he did against Juan Manuel Marquez, and to still be so elite at the age that he's at right now is just truly amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like we finally lived up to our show's name, Real Talk.
Real Talk.
And, you know, that's why I kind of decided to bring in the real mustache, you know, and I brought in the real pretty wife, you know. So I appreciate you sharing your heart with us about boxing, because we all love boxing. If you're watching this show, you probably love boxing, or you love us. We love you too, or both. That's the best kind of person. Be the best you by loving both.